Geometry 1, Chapter 5 Test, Topic 2. You should know what the angles of a triangle add to and be able to use this concept to find the missing angle measures. So first, the interior angles of a triangle must add to 180 degrees. That's called the triangle sum theorem. The angle measures of a triangle add to 180 degrees. So, example 1, solve for the missing angle. This should be a fairly straightforward problem by the time you're done with Chapter 5 in geometry. We have three angles here. We know this one's 91. We know this one's 72. So you have a couple of options here. Option 1, if we know this is 91 and this is 72, so far, when we add them together, we get 163 degrees. The interior angles of the triangle need to add to 180, so what this last angle is whatever's going to be left of the 180 after we remove the 163. So 180 minus 163, you can do it with a calculator, or you can borrow. 10 minus 3 is 7, 7 minus 6 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. That angle measure has to be 17 degrees. Now another way to solve this problem, and this first method is probably the one I would prefer to do, just for speed-wise, but the second method is convenient when it comes to more complicated problems. And that's to set up an equation. 91 plus 72 plus the unknown angle, x, those three angles added together have to equal 180 degrees. And now you have an equation you can solve. 91 and 72, those are like terms, so you add them together. 163 plus x is 180. Subtract 163 from both sides, and you get x equals 17. It's the same answer either way, but the equation form sets us up very nicely for the next example with a harder problem. So the next example, solve for x in the following problems. Here we have a triangle with three angle measures, x minus 2 degrees, 3x plus 12 degrees, and x degrees. Well, in order to solve this problem, we need to set up an equation similar to what we did before. The three angle measures of a triangle must add to 180 degrees. So we make an equation. X minus 2 plus the 3x plus 12 plus the third angle, the x, all have to add together to be 180 degrees. And now we have an equation to solve. So let's see here, let's combine some like terms. X plus 3x plus x. X plus 3x plus x is 5x. We also have a minus 2 and a plus 12. So negative 2 plus 12 is positive 10, equals the 180. Now please, when you combine your like terms, circle the like terms, the things with the x's. I usually box in the first terms that I combine, and then I circle the second ones. If there are more than two types of like terms that we're combining, I typically then switch to underlining or squiggly lines underneath it. But please box them in, circle them, do something to keep track of which ones you've combined. And now we solve. So subtract 10 from both sides. 5x equals 170. Divide both sides by 5. 170 divided by 5, x equals 34. So we use the fact that the three angles add up to 180 degrees to create an equation that we could then solve. In the second problem, we actually have two triangles. X is right here in the middle. We have a 67 degrees over here, a 52 degrees down here, and it might be hard to see, but we have some congruent marks there. So it's a little tricky. We could try to add up the three angles of the top triangle. They have to add up to 180. The issue with that is that we don't actually know what the third angle is. If we did, this problem would be very easy and we could move on. The bottom angle, the 52, the x isn't even in this bottom triangle. So it's a little tricky. So we fill in what we can. We know the top right angle is 67 degrees and it's congruent to the bottom left, which means the bottom left angle is also 67 degrees. Well, now the bottom triangle, we actually have two of the angle measures. We have the 67 and the 52. So what we can do is solve for the missing angle. 67 plus 52. 7 plus 2 is 9. 6 plus 5 is 11. So far we have 119 degrees here. The entire bottom triangle needs to add up to 180. So we can subtract 180 minus 119. Again, we have to borrow. 10 minus 9 is 1, 7 minus 1 is 6, and we get 61 degrees right there in the middle. So we've actually found the bottom triangle, which is not what we're looking for. We're looking for x, which is in the top triangle. But there's a very special relationship here. X and the 61. Notice in this picture, we have lines that cross right here. These triangles make an X in the middle of the picture. And if you have an X in your picture, you have a very special thing going on here called vertical angles. Vertical angles are special because vertical angles are congruent to one another. That means this angle at the bottom and the x have the same measure. So if the angle on the bottom is 61, x must also be 61 because x is congruent to the 61 degrees below.